Neal McCready. There's Zach Berry with us. As always, here today, we will talk about last weekend's Cookout. Zach was all over the grill with – who were you with? It was you and Arch Manning and Matt Corral and Lane Kiffin. I saw y'all. Y'all were like slamming seltzers and doing ribs. It was very hot, but it looked like you guys were having a great time. I especially enjoyed that poignant moment when you and who was it? It was you and Lane and one of the other coaches. Y'all were doing the slip and slide thing down the hill. It was beautiful.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers stopped by before he decided to forego his senior season.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. Cade Cunningham was there, just celebrating being drafted first in the draft. And he was there for the slip and slide. I was glad he didn't get hurt. It looked a little dangerous. The Pistons would not have been happy with what was going on.
I think Malik Newman showed up with Andy Kennedy later, but I wasn't there for that.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's wild. Like a kumbaya moment where it all just sort of came together. That's amazing. All right, we're going to talk about a number of things. The Cookout, all seriousness, we'll talk about as we get into August, some rumblings of restrictions, and we might talk a little bit about what another dead period would look like, how that would be different than a year ago. So hopefully it doesn't come to that, but we'll broach that topic. We'll talk about what might be next for a handful of guys, and we'll take your questions in the thread and things of that nature. First, I should say, when you try to say 4 words at one time, it comes out with a word that makes no sense. First, I want to tell you that we're brought to you by the College Corner. It's your one-stop Rebel Shop, 2 locations in the Jackson area and Ridgeland. The College Corner is next to Fleet Feet in Flowood. It's next to Half Shell. If you don't live in Jackson, it's okay, not a problem. You can go to collegecornerstore.com, and you can also find them on Facebook and Instagram. So whether you're tailgating in Oxford or home gating with friends and family, the College Corner has you covered for game day. They have the largest selection of Rebel gear in central Mississippi. I'm coming to you from the Clark Ford Studios. Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for Corey. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours, right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. The rest is up to you. You can shop it around, or you can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. 662-257-1900. Zach, how are you?
Neal, doing well. It is, knock on wood here. It's 12:19 here in Nashville, and it was only 84 degrees, so I don't want to jinx anything. It has been a delightful week weather-wise here.
It has been a delightful week, but now let me tell you, your dumb friend here yesterday, I took Carson to soccer. He had a soccer practice 4 to 5:30 at Oxford High School, okay? And so I dropped him off at about 3:45, and earlier in the day he had said, "Hey, Dad, you want to go lift tomorrow before you take me to Tupelo for soccer?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And so I'm like, "Hey, if we get there at 5, we can lift for an hour, and then we can drive to Tupelo." And so I was thinking, well, I'm going to lift tomorrow, so I probably ought to go run today. Mm-hmm. And I made the mistake of telling myself, it's kind of cool out. Because compared to last week, it's kind of cool out.
Yeah.
But it's not particularly cool out. And so I went out, and I had my hat, turned it backwards, the whole deal, so I wouldn't burn my head. When you're bald-headed, you have to think about these things. And but also hats retain heat.
Right.
And I got out to do my run in the neighborhood. You've been in my neighborhood. It's very hilly. And I knew I had about an hour to run, so I planned a 1-hour run. And I did it. But I got to tell you, 86 degrees on asphalt in August, it's still really hot, and it'll still get you. And as I'm driving to Oxford High School from my neighborhood to pick up Carson, I thought that was really stupid. I'd have been better off going to the gym and getting on a treadmill or doing something different, as opposed to whatever amount of stress that I put my body through running the hills of North Point.
Yeah, I'll say this, it's better this week. So last week I went to the country club that I'm a member at. and it is, and this was completely unintentional, but it is less than a mile from my son's school. So it's pretty convenient that I can go and hit the range, hit a bucket of balls, and then go swing by and pick him up. So I was cutting it close, but I was like, you know what? I can go hit a bucket of balls, 20 minutes, and then I can go pick him up. No problem. Last week, I wasn't even through the small bucket of balls. If I'm standing over a golf ball before each swing, it was at least 5 or 6 beads of sweat falling down. And then the difference between that and this week, on Monday morning, I went for my first golf lesson ever, Neal. I'm all in.
Look at you.
I'm trying to get to where I can break 80, regularly. I'm trying to be a real boy, play golf like a real boy.
Okay.
That morning, our lesson outside did not sweat at all. It was amazing. But as you know, you and Chase talked about it yesterday on the show. This is just a false sense of security. We are going to be back to the absolute hellscape that we know the Southeast to be. It's not going to stay.
Well, to prove your point, because we actually looked at this yesterday, the weather forecast for Oxford for the next few days. Today, a high of 86. Tomorrow's 86. Then 89. Then 91. 93. 91, 92, 93, 91, 90. Yeah, Mother Nature's not done with us just yet.
No. It's always like that with every season in the South. There's always regardless of what season it is, it's always like, all right, it's here. But then it's always like, oh, hold on. We got to do at least 2 more weeks of the season that's prior to this one. It's always like that. It's like that summer, winter, it doesn't matter. I don't know. I go back and forth on if there's actual seasons in the South. It's pretty much just 2. But, yeah, it'll get hot again, and then we'll eventually get to the fall sometime mid-September, October. That's just typically how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, September's hot. October starts to change, and then November gets a little better. Okay. A lot of talk in the thread between Patrick and Walker about Alabama returning to 2020 COVID protocols within their facilities for the next 6 weeks.
Okay.
There it is. Tide football returning to 2020 protocols, even though Alabama's team is nearly completely vaccinated. I was telling you about this thread from Ross right before we got started. Ross Dellinger says it's going to lead into a conversation. We'll go here first. We'll start with the bad stuff and then get to the good.
Okay.
It's from Ross Dellinger. The University of Alabama football team has nearly all of its members vaccinated. Tuscaloosa, the city in which the university is located, has a vaccination rate of 31%. This is an example, according to Ross, this is an example of what Dr. Katie O'Neal meant last month when she said, I think our teams are ready to play more than our communities are ready to handle this next surge. I'm worried people who enjoy football are going to be too sick to watch football, as the SEC worries about vaccination trends. I know people are going to ask what's Ole Miss's. It is somewhere between 50 and 60% is my very best guess. No one is going to directly answer that question emphatically right now at Ole Miss. We've asked. They've answered to a degree. They're not at 85%.
Is that a HIPAA violation to ask, Neal?
No. It would only be a HIPAA. And in fact, it's one of the misunderstood things is that they could absolutely give us the number. They could give us the specific number. The only thing, if I were to ask them, pick a player, any player. If I were to say, is AJ Finley vaccinated? They couldn't answer that without violating AJ's HIPAA rights. I can ask AJ because AJ could choose to answer or not answer. Or AJ could free Ole Miss to release his information if he so chose. And obviously, if they were 100% vaccinated and they said, well, we're 100% vaccinated, I could take from that, using my ULM degree, that AJ Finley was also vaccinated. But that's about the extent of it. So we ask, and they give us sort of vague answers, which is fine. It's not a criticism, but there's a lot of schools. I think it's I'm reading from Ross. I'm going to get to something in a second because we're not going to spend a lot of time on this because we're going to talk about it some on the Oxford Exxon podcast today. If what happens, while several SEC football teams are trending in a strong direction with vaccination rates, 6 of 14 are at least at 80%, according to Ross Dellinger at SI. Their communities are not, stirring fear that game days will transform into super spreader events or that stadiums will remain partially empty. In fact, the very state in which SEC media days were held has the worst vaccination rate in the country at 33.7%. Mississippi, by the way, is 33.8%. Arkansas is 35.4%. Louisiana is 36.2%, well below the national rate of 49%. If we're headed towards another dead period, and I think we are, I think there's been a lot of talk, a lot of assumptions that September would be bringing kids to campus to visit for games and such. I personally don't think that's going to happen now. If I'm, and I could be wrong, and no one's told me this, but I'm reading the tea leaves. Okay, if that happens, did Ole Miss get enough guys on campus this summer to make the impressions that are needed to get things done?
I think so, but well, here, let me throw it back to you. I want to hear your thoughts, and then I'll give mine.
Okay.
Because I think we're about the same, but I want to hear what you think.
Okay.
Are you going to go?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me a question.
Oh, no. Like, I was throwing the question back to you.
You want to know what my thoughts on what specifically?
That specific question about impressions.
Okay.
If they made, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think the games are on TV. They can see the games. They can talk to the coaches after games. But now I don't want to be Mr. Spin either. On the other hand, I think a lot of what they've been banking on, and I think it was a safe bet, was that the return to normal. And look, again, I want to reiterate this before people lose their minds. As of this moment, I've not been told anything differently. But I will also tell you, I'm reading between some lines here, that it is Thursday, August the 5th at 12:29 p.m. Ole Miss has reported for fall camp and is scheduled to practice for the first time on Saturday. And as of this moment, and I just checked my email, we have received no guidance from Ole Miss regarding media access, which tells me that we're going all Zoom.
Yeah.
That's the rumor. It's out there around the league. Georgia told their media yesterday that they're all Zoom. I've heard that Missouri is probably going all Zoom. I've heard other schools are going all Zoom. I'm hearing a lot of all Zoom. Alabama very clearly is going all Zoom for the next 6 weeks. So you don't have to be a genius to start to think that this is a little bit of a possible SEC mandate.
Yeah, especially if Saban's leading the way.
Yeah, so I think part of their recruiting plan, Zach, was that they were going to they were going to bring guys to campus for these games. There was going to be a ton of energy at these games. There may very well still be a ton of energy at these games. People were excited. They had some big games. They have some big games on the schedule at home. LSU, Texas A&M come to mind. Packed houses, a lot going on, competitive games, competitive teams against big name teams out of the SEC, and that they were going to show guys through that, hey, look, that environment that you loved in Tuscaloosa, that environment that you loved in Baton Rouge, College Station, fill in the blank, we've got it too. We got it rolling. Now, you can still see that on TV,
Sure.
but it's not the same as being able to come to a game as a 17, 18-year-old kid and walk on the field for pregame and talk to the coach in pregame and see the team warm up in pregame, and then go sit in the front rows and watch the game and hear the game and feel the game, and then go into the Manning Center after the game and have those exact same coaches come up to you and say, hey, see, we got it going, or you would have been the difference today. If we had you, instead of losing by 2, we'd have won by 2. You're the difference. So it is. Is it catastrophic? Is it as bad as a year ago? No. But is it bad? Yes. It is, to steal a word from Brian Scott Rippey, it is suboptimal.
Yes, that's kind of where I'm at. I think they're still going to be able. I mean, we saw it in last year's class. They still recruited at an extremely high level when they couldn't host anyone. The crowds were at whatever capacity they were. I think you're right, though, and that's kind of where I was leaning. And I thought my initial thought was correct, that we were on the same page here. I think that's where you can kind of maybe separate yourself because you're competing with the blue bloods and the best of the best. But I think that's where you can kind of show, like you said, oh, okay, Ole Miss they have good crowds. They have a pretty good atmosphere. I mean, the stadium is so weird and so dumb and nothing matches, but the crowds are big, just like they were at LSU and just like they were at Oregon, whatever. I still think they're going to be able to recruit who they want because I think this staff is really young and they resonate with a lot of players. That's anytime I interview a kid, that's what they say. They said they love the energy. They love how excited the staff is, and they love how I think having a young staff it's one or the other. It can either backfire because they're inexperienced, or it can be great because they can connect with the recruits because they're younger. But yeah, it does hurt them if they can't have full capacity stadiums because, like you said, there's going to be some huge games this year. LSU comes to town. That's going to be a big one. Eli Manning's getting honored at that game. I've said it. I think you anticipated. I think most national people anticipate that that's when Arch will do his official visit. It just makes the most sense because the family will be there. And look, if you're Ole Miss, you want that stadium to be slammed packed. Not only because it's a huge game, it's a huge opportunity to win a conference game. And not that this is going to make or break the Arch Manning recruitment. It's not.
No.
But it only helps.
Sure.
That it's a huge crowd. Everybody's there to honor Eli Manning. Oh, by the way, this 5-star 2023 quarterback that you're in on is in attendance as well. That helps. So I still think that they are going to recruit well. I still think that they're going to be able to reach certain prospects and they're going to have a shot at signing them. But you want to have the crowds. You want to be back to somewhat normal. And yeah, so it's a little bit of, yeah, it'll be okay, but also like suboptimal. You want it to be packed. So yeah, I'm with you there. I think that it's something that if it gets to that point, and like you said, I think the trajectory right now is not good. So it can hurt this staff if they can't get there.
Yeah, and I haven't studied Ross's story to in depth, but 6 weeks of the COVID protocol on their facilities, does that include stadium capacity? And I don't know the answer to that.
I don't either.
As of today, to my knowledge, the stadium is still 100% capacity. The Grove is still open.
Yeah.
But listen, you don't have to be an idiot. You don't have to be a genius to figure out that some groundwork's getting laid. A week ago at this time, the Oxford schools were mask optional. They start school tomorrow and masks are required. There's rumblings that masks are going to be required in Oxford soon. If that happens, does the Grove still open? I don't know how you could justify the optics of everything's closed, but you can pack the Grove, which is a collection of tents. I don't know how you can, justify that. So if that were to happen and you lose some of those recruiting tools, it's a negative. I mean, can you overcome it? Sure. Is it easier to overcome it than it was a year ago? Yes. When guys couldn't see anything and it was a new product. But it's kind of having to go it's kind of having to go up a steep hill without four-wheel drive and a real strong engine. You can do it, but you have some I think I can moments, as opposed to got a to use the lane train analogy all the way, you got a locomotive just churning up the deal. I mean, it's a totally different creature. But look, if this ends up being an SEC mandate, and again, I don't know of that, we're kind of guessing a little. It affects everybody. So it won't just be Ole Miss.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Grove and how they're excited about having that back, and that's a huge recruiting tool. I mean, I've talked to several guys either at the Cookout or over the phone that they're excited about seeing the Walk of Champions. They want to see a full Grove. I'll tell you who also wants to see a full Grove, and they're now offering something that can help you out is Lamar Yard. You can now ask them about catering and private event rental options. So that's perfect for that next big celebration, birthday, anniversary, gender reveal, whatever you got, they can help you out. And also when you want to party in the Grove in the fall. Oxford's indoor-outdoor restaurant, bar, and entertainment space on South Lamar. Drove by it when I was in town. It looks amazing. 10,000 square feet. It is every bit of it. It is a huge space. They've got 3/4 of an acre of outdoor space, and they've got full stage, indoor and outdoor projectors, 3 bars, playground, and parking on site for their open fire barbecue and fixins. So go check them out, and you can, like I said, contact them for catering and private rental options. Podcast also brought to you by Kelly English Restaurant Group. If you act now, you can get half off your first month of Cooking with Kelly, his virtual cooking options that he is bringing to everyone via the internet. Use promo code SoftVerbal21. That's all caps, SoftVerbal21 for half off your first month of Cooking with Kelly. You can also check out irisetc.com for nationwide shipping. So Kelly's bringing everything to you, regardless of where you live, whether you're in the Mid-South, California, Washington, New York City. Nationwide shipping and virtual cooking classes with Kelly English. Podcast also brought to you by Cherokee Valley Golf Course, Olive Branch, Mississippi. Go see Cody Allen and the rest of the crew there. Take on the challenge of the wide fairways and large championship greens. They've got 2 putting greens, a driving range, and a chipping green if you want to get your game all honed in for the fall once the weather lightens up a little bit. It's perfect time to play golf. So go check them out in Olive Branch. Call them at 662-893-4444 or book a tee time online at olivebranchgolf.com. Soft Verbal also brought to you by Protection Unlimited, the Mid-South's leader in commercial and residential alarm security. Wayne Lowry and his team have been serving the greater Memphis area and North Mississippi for 40 plus years, and they would love to get your business and or family protected today. Cutting-edge security for your home or business, video surveillance options, monitoring 24/7, 365. That is Protection Unlimited. Call them at 901-754-6510 or email them at info@protectionunlimited.com.
All right, so Neal, let's talk about the Cookout.
Let's do it.
How did your ribs turn out? I know I thought that was cool of them to let you have your own grill.
Yeah.
You did not win the cooking competition, I know, but how did you feel?
No.
Did you feel like your ribs turned out well? Were they overcooked, over-seasoned, under too much smoke? What was the thought?
No, I went the wet route. I didn't go dry.
Yeah, not good.
A little bit easier. Dry is a little bit of a niche. I think most of the players enjoyed the wet route. I just went, pretty basic with it. Nothing too crazy. Just a nice vinegar-based sauce. But yeah, I saw a lot of clean plates. A lot of guys coming back asking for seconds.
That's good. Good
we'll
sign.
See. Yeah, I didn't have a ton, but I did tell them, hey, you can go head down the road and go talk to Greg at LB's if you need any other protein needs. But yeah, I think it was I thought it was a successful weekend for the staff. I think that the guys that they brought in are, the list that we put out. That's a good baseline, a good barometer for folks that are into recruiting to pay attention to. They kept it pretty small, and I'm of the opinion that they did that for a reason. They wanted to spend quality time with several prospects. So if they brought those guys in, and I think that that's a good way to know that's who they're focusing on as they head into the season and into the early signing period. So we'll get into some specifics here with some certain names that I think are key. But I think from what I heard around the building, they felt pretty good about the weekend.
Grind wants to know, was Marquez Dortch, not Marquise, was Marquez Dortch in Oxford this past weekend for the Cookout?
I was not able to confirm if he arrived or not. I don't think he was.
You did not see him at your grilling station?
I did not. Jacarius Clayton, I talked to him yesterday. He ended up staying in Tupelo. He did not come in town. I don't think that's indicative of where his commitment stands at all. I think he just decided to hang around the house and take a weekend off before practice starts, because a lot of high schools are getting after it. Because for some reason, high schools still start their football season too early, in my opinion. It is going to be extremely hot in a couple weeks when football kicks off. But I think all jokes aside, I think that's why Arch came earlier in the week, because I think he wanted the weekend to kind of relax at home before his camp started. I think a lot of players did that too. And as we talked about last week, also a lot of other programs were having weekend shindigs. So that was the reason why the list kind of dwindled down a little bit. And some other guys just wanted to go elsewhere. I don't think that's hit the panic button because Jaheim Otis didn't come in town. I don't think that's it. Just relax. It'll be okay.
All right, let's talk about who else didn't come that created some waves, and what you read into those guys not coming. Who were some guys that you thought might come, who didn't come? How big of a deal individually were those guys?
I would say the three names that come to mind when you mention that. I mentioned Otis just then. He did go to Mississippi State on Friday. And I don't think you can read into anything with that. I talked to some folks, and I posted it in the Chicks a couple days ago, that people still think it's going to be Alabama and Ole Miss. He's someone that doesn't really talk much. I asked him about why he didn't come, or what he did over the weekend, and he was just kind of like, "Hey, I just wanted to hang out and relax." So went to Starkville, went home, no big deal. The one that is curious, not anything in particular, but Trevion Williams, the Florida State commit, that you and I both agree that I don't think he'll end up there. But I think right now he just kind of wanted to, I don't know, just kind of not go anywhere. Committed to Florida State pretty recently. May or may not be thinking if he goes somewhere else that might ruffle some feathers down in Tallahassee. I don't know. That's just a guess. Then Kamari Rogers was supposedly supposed to come for an official visit. He did not. He can always reschedule, obviously. I still think that Ole Miss is very much in that one, too. He's committed to Miami right now. Those are the three that come to mind. A couple of the big-name guys that didn't show up. Luther Burton's a top 10 guy. He's a receiver. I talked to Adam Gorney, the Rivals National Recruiting Director. He said that Georgia's heavy on him right now, and he's committed to Oklahoma still. So he didn't come. And then Quincy Wiggins just went to LSU. So he's Baton Rouge prospect. So he just decided to just go down the road. So those are those kind of, Hail Mary type prospects where, hey, if you can get them in town, great. If not, we'll worry about it later, because they're going to be hearing from every single program.
Yeah, and those are the kind of guys now, in all fairness, those are the kind of guys that you do want to get to your campus in the summer. You want them to have an impression so that they come back in the fall.
Yeah.
When they don't come in the summer, and then you start having these rumblings about, another dead period that might get extended into September, into October, before you know it, the signing period's in December. it's early, but it won't be long until it's not early. And so, it's not significant in and of itself that they didn't come, but it becomes significant if we get later in the process and they can't take visits. And I don't know what's going to happen. I want to repeat that over and over today. I don't know. It depends on who you talk to. There are some people that think, hey, this is a surge, and when the surge dies off, everything's going to kind of get back to normal here pretty quick. But then there's other talk about there are other variants that are out there, and obviously vaccination rates aren't where people want them to be, and if these stadiums were to turn into a super spreader, we all know what's going to happen at that point. So I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, from a recruiting standpoint, I think you have to, if we always do the hand raise guys. If I'm the hand raise guy in the recruiting room, I'm saying right now, hey, let's proceed with our plan, but let's start putting together a plan for worst case. Let's get serious about that plan. Let's put some man hours. Because August is kind of a dead period for the most part anyway, because high school guys are getting ready for their season. They're starting their season. There's not a whole lot of in-person recruiting that happens in August in the first place. So if I'm them, I'm my recruiting guys, we're spending a few of those man hours in August putting together a plan for extended dead period in the fall into the signing period. I'm looking at what we're looking at in the news and that kind of thing, and I'd have to be putting that together at this point.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I was going to mention this before I forget. I saw in your mailbag you answered the question about where Ole Miss would finish if the defense is much improved, and I'm kind of with you there. And it doesn't have to be 50th. I mean, I think if there's 65, 70 range with what the offense can do, I think that Ole Miss is right there at 8-4, 9-3, and that's as big a recruiting tool as anything right there. And it's not necessarily the number of wins, because I've said plenty of times, and I think you would agree with me, that recruits don't look at wins and losses, but they do look at what is on the field, what the product is that is getting you to that win-loss number. And I think that is going to be monumental for this staff and for this program to show, hey, 5-5, we won the Outback Bowl. We're not just taking another step. We're hopping up the steps. We're trying to get to the porch with the big dogs in Tier 1. So I think that's as big of a recruiting tool as any for this staff if it gets to that point where they can't host anyone. Okay, we can't have full stadiums. We can't have you on campus for a visit. We can't talk to you in person. Just watch us on Saturday. And I think that's going to be huge. And like you said before about, hey, we're at 65th in the country in defense right now, and we might go 8-4. But if you're here, we're going to get top 30, top 25, and we can try to get to double-digit wins. And that's the type of tangible example you can give to a recruit, where it's like, hey, you can come make even more of a difference.
Hey, what impact do you think it will have for their recruiting at Texas, at Oklahoma, that they now can promise the SEC? They can absolutely promise it for the end of guys' careers, and I think they can certainly hint that, hey, you're going to open your career in the SEC. What kind of an impact do you think that has for Texas, for Oklahoma? And then since we're doing an Ole Miss recruiting podcast, how much more difficult, if at all, does it make it for Ole Miss recruiting Texas?
I mean, I think it's big. I think that there are a large group of recruits out there that dream of the SEC. You don't really hear it very often where recruits are like, man, I've always wanted to play in the Big 12. You don't really hear that a lot. I mean, Texas is a large state. A lot of kids maybe want to stay close to home so their families can come see them play. But look, I mean, it's been outside of 1 year with Tom Herman, Texas hasn't been dominant since Vince Young was playing. I mean, they've won 10 games twice since 2009. One of those was with Mac Brown and one was with Tom Herman. So these recruits, the 2022, 2023 kids, haven't grown up knowing about Ricky Williams and Roy. They haven't learned about the Longhorns and the big bad Texas program. They don't know about that. They don't know about, the Jamal Charleses and all of those really good Texas teams. So if you're an SEC fan, Ole Miss fan specifically because of this podcast, you're more worried about Oklahoma. That's the program that is churning right now. That is knocking on the door of where Alabama is in the elite class is Oklahoma. Like, yeah, they get to the playoff and they might get whipped, but Lincoln Riley is doing everything in his power to be Nick Saban. And he's got to win titles. Obviously, he's not going to be in that category. But that's who you need to worry about. I mean, Texas still has to prove it. Sark hasn't coached a game yet. They still got to win. I mean, Texas has always had the resources. They've always had, this, the burnt orange and everything to point to. But they got to win. It doesn't matter, especially when you get to the SEC, because it's just going to get harder. The schedule's not going to be easier because you're bringing over your endowment and trying to flex that muscle. It doesn't matter. You're still going to have to play LSU, and then, the next week you got to go to Ole Miss, and then, after that, you got to go to Auburn, and after that, you got to go to Arkansas. I mean, it doesn't let up. So as far as recruiting goes, sure, they're going to recruit at a high level because Steve Sarkisian's a good recruiter and Lincoln Riley's a good recruiter. But, on the field, you can take care of business and say, hey, they may have a bigger enrollment number, but, we beat them last week. Who cares?
I'll ask you about Quinn Ewers and how you think that might impact recruiting, and also what that might do to the Ohio State quarterback room in a minute. But first, I want to tell you that we're brought to you by Daniel Barfield and Barfield Wealth Management. Founded in 2000, Daniel Barfield's been serving individuals and businesses in the Oxford, North Mississippi area for more than 20 years. He carries both CFP and CPA designations. He's affiliated with the Advisors Resource Council. It's a registered investment advisory firm with offices in Oxford, New Orleans, Dallas, and the surrounding areas. So his company, his staff, they offer comprehensive financial planning, including investment management, estate and tax planning, insurance planning, and business retirement plans. He wants to thank his current clients, I should say, for putting their trust in him and his firm, and welcome new clients interested in learning how BWM can help achieve their financial goals. So get in touch with Daniel, 662-236-6454, or visit his site, barfieldwealthmanagement.com, to learn how he can help you. We're also brought to you by Billy's Small Batch Bacon. My pal William Stitt down in Fairhope, Alabama, has mastered, and I do mean mastered, the art of bacon. Spent 3 decades in the restaurant and hospitality business, and bacon is his passion. He uses bacon selected from the finest hogs, hand-turned every 2 hours in small batches, rubbed with nitrate-free pink curing salt and brown sugar molasses. It's fantastic. You can check it out at the Old 27 Grill, or you can go to billysbacon.com. That's BILLES bacon.com and try it today. Order 5 pounds or more and get a free Billy's Bacon hat with the promo code Rebel Grove. Also brought to you by Alpha Specialties, located at 1670 Highway 80 in Pearl, Mississippi. They're your trailer-specific professional. If you want to haul it, they can call it at Alpha. It's the premium trailer dealership in Mississippi. They've got Load Trail. They also have Hallmark cargo trailers, and they can work with third parties to have game day trailers, concession trailers built just for you. Full selection of trailer parts and accessories, hitches, winches, straps, and more. They repair all types of trailers, concession, horse, utility, enclosed, gooseneck, and RV. So get in touch with them at alphaofms.com or 601-932-9798. Starting in September, we're going to have a lot of material for you, some promos and such coming from the fine folks at Muddy Water Camo. In the meantime, just check out their site, muddywateroutdoors.com. Start getting yourself geeked up for the hunting season. The weather starts to change a little bit. The folks at Muddy Water Camo have some specials coming your way in about 4 weeks. And brought to you by Joey Erickson At Heron Gear Chevrolet, let Joey help you find the vehicle you're looking for at a price you can afford. Choose from a full selection of new Chevy vehicles or get a great deal on numerous brands of reliable pre-owned vehicles. Give Joey a call or a text on his cell, 662-571-2367. Tell him what you're looking for, or stop by 1685 High Street in Jackson and test drive that new or used vehicle you've been wanting and let him earn your business. All right, Zachary, Quinn Ewers. He tells the people at South Lake Carroll, say, hey, look, I love high school and all, and I was super excited about the prom, but I make $1 million in Columbus. I'm out. Peace. Mm-hmm. How many guys do you think can do that? Realistically in football, how often is that going to happen? And then the follow-up on that, obviously, is I'm of the opinion, and I don't know whether you are, I'm of the opinion there's a possibility that Ole Miss is going to be looking at that transfer portal for quarterbacks just in case in the late winter, early spring. How do you think that might impact anybody else in Columbus?
Yeah, that's a great segue, Neal.
That's why. Hey, listen, that broadcast school, it paid off.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in a moment, but I mean, hey, good for Quinn Ewers. First and foremost, I mean, it's impressive to get all your high school course load done that quickly. And I'm not even being facetious. I mean, that's tough to do, and to get into Ohio State, I mean, that's not the easiest school to get into. It's not Princeton by any means, but you still got to get it done. So that's good for him. I joked with a few people that, maybe Quinn was wanting to make some money. Maybe he didn't want to have to play Cade Klubnik and Westlake again in the playoffs. For all the Texas listeners out there, that they might get that joke. But yeah, I mean, it's an easy decision. I mean, he's going to make money early. I mean, he was always going to make money with NIL, but now he can get on campus and reach out to a few. I think he's already done that. I think he's done a little legwork when it comes to getting some sponsors. But yeah, I mean, he'll be able to make some money pretty quickly, and then also speed up that clock to start competing in the quarterback competition there. The segue I was referring to, it seems like forever ago when this recruitment was talked about, but there is a quarterback in that quarterback room in Columbus, Ohio, and it is one Jack Miller, who has some ties to the Ole Miss program. Possibly could be looking to go elsewhere. The quarterback room, if I can find the tweet here, you've got 5-star C.J. Stroud, 5-star Kyle McCord, 5-star Quinn Ewers, and then now the one I was just referring to, Jack Miller, was a highly rated 4-star. Pretty crowded. At least one of those guys, maybe two, is probably going to be looking for a new home, if I had to guess, just because not a lot of football to go around if you got all those guys there. So could potentially maybe Lane Kiffin and then look at Mr. Miller. Who can say? I think the guy on their board that's number one is Justin Martin, who's committed to Cal. He's been pretty solid with them. He hasn't really wavered at all, and he's kind of sticking to his plan and staying with the Bears right now. But if they don't flip him, then they're going to look somewhere else to get a quarterback.
Yeah, I will say this before people think, oh, God, you're ripping the current quarterback room. I am told that Luke Altmaier's had a great summer.
He's the backup quarterback.
Yeah, I've been told that from people that they really like him. But look, you need more than one or two quarterbacks on your roster. You have to add quarterbacks, and I think Ole Miss is preparing for Matt Corral to leave after the season to head to the National Football League. And if he does, then you need more quarterbacks. So I don't think it's out of the realm that they would sign a freshman, and Martin, for example. I don't think Martin would prevent them from adding a transfer. It would depend on whether they looked at Martin and felt that he was readily available in terms of, is he ready to go, or does he need time, like most freshmen do. All right. Yeah. Speaking of freshmen, Walker Bailey wants to know, and Patrick, I'll get to your question in a second. He wants to know, Zach, can you expand on Ole Miss's involvement with Singletary? I assume he doesn't mean Mike. And do you think they have a legitimate chance to land him, or is he another Hail Mary type of prospect?
Mike Singletary, once a defensive coordinator candidate.
He also was Samurai Mike. He stopped him cold. Heart of the defense, big and bold.
Oh, yeah. Look at you. That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard from a couple the national guys with Rivals that Ole Miss has been in contact with him. But look, I mean, everybody's going to be in contact with Jaheim Singletary. For those that have not looked at the Chicks thread today, or you don't know who I'm referring to, Jaheim Singletary, cornerback out of Jacksonville, Florida, number 5 player in the country. Terrell Buckley and Kevin Smith are recruiting him. I'd probably venture to guess that Chris Partridge and DJ Durkin are recruiting him as well. Maybe Lane Kiffin too. 5-star player. It's going to be hard. I mean, the in-state schools are going to be after him. Florida State, Miami, and then I'm sure Alabama's in the mix, Georgia's in the mix. He talks about them, but he continues to mention that he's hearing from Ole Miss. So this is back where the visits come in. If they can get him on campus and they can talk to him in person, that can go a long way. If not, you're going to have to rely on the product you put on the field and what kind of hype you can generate around your program. But I mentioned it in the Chicks. It's somewhat of a Hail Mary. It's going to be a battle with a bunch of blue bloods and the best of the best with Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Lincoln Riley. I mean, it's going to be a tough one. But again, if they can host recruits and they can get him on campus, then they've got as good a shot as any. I mean, that's half the battle, in my opinion, is getting them on campus to talk with them.
Patrick wants to know who is the Taiwan Malone of this class. I don't know whether he means defensive lineman or like the one guy that's the headliner or a two-sport guy. Is there a name that comes to mind when I say Taiwan Malone with this class?
I'd probably combine two of those, so defensive lineman and top guy in the class. I think it's Jaheim Otis. Just mammoth of a human. Built every bit as big, if not bigger, than Raekwon Davis was in high school, and you saw what he was able to do at Alabama. That's the guy that I think is probably up there, top 5, top 3 on their board. That's a guy that you can build a defense around. That's probably who it is. I think that they're going to, fight tooth and nail until signing day for Otis, and I think that they've got a shot. I mean, Alabama's going to sign who Alabama signs.
His mom's a big Alabama fan too. That's something they have to kind of overcome.
Yeah, and he and his uncle are very tight. I think maybe just taking a guess here, the uncle might want him to stay in state. I don't have that well source. It's just my opinion. He obviously went and visited Mississippi State, so he's hearing out other schools. He's still, the recruitment is quote unquote still open. He's still visiting. He's been to Ole Miss unofficially already a couple times, so they're going to continue to recruit him. Talking about the Taiwan Malone of a class. I will tell you about the Taiwan Malone of the Finance Professional.
It's well done
group. And that's Bluff City Advisory Group. This is a leading team of finance professionals who can provide advanced assistance with financial planning, pension and qualified plan support, and business and estate planning strategies. The founding partner, Ben Steele, can probably tell you about some guys like Taiwan Malone that he blocked during his time at Ole Miss. He, along with his elite level customer service team, make it their goal to help you meet the ongoing demands of your financial needs. Learn more about Bluff City Advisory Group and more at bluffcityadvisory.com. If you want a Taiwan Malone of the real estate industry, look no further than the Barry Home Team. You want to build wealth with real estate, or you're just looking to change your address, call them, 901-481-6420. Whether it comes from cash offers, wholesale offers, escalation clauses, multiple offers, all of that good stuff. If you need to know what that really means, call Stacy and Rick Berry. Sold over 175 homes and more than $42 million in volume have been closed. So If you need to buy, sell, or invest, call the very home team today. Once you've done that, you can stick right there in the Mid-South and talk to Saddle Creek Title, the leader in client-focused, innovative closing solutions. Neal, Hannah, and his team are more than just a real estate closing firm. They are dedicated to going the distance to ensure the ease and growth of your real estate. Call Neal and his team at 901-753-1600 or check out saddlecreektitle.com. Soft Verbal also brought to you by Transamerica Insurance, rated best term life insurance in 2020 by Forbes. They offer 10, 20, and 30-year term life insurance catered to your individual needs. Call Drew Moken at 601-953-8449. He's licensed in Mississippi, Tennessee, and Texas, among others, and he can go ahead and help you get started today. Last but certainly not least, Davis McCord State Farm. Good neighbor service, surprisingly great insurance rates, one-stop shop in Tennessee and Mississippi for the service you deserve at the price you want. Call him at 901-755-6110 for your surprisingly great rates today. That's Davis McCord State Farm.
And don't forget, Zach already mentioned LB's Meat Market, but if you're coming to town, football season around the corner, you don't have to wait till football season. If you're anywhere near Oxford, you owe it to yourself to stop by LB's Meat Market, 2008 University Avenue in Oxford, right across from Kroger, but so much better than Kroger. The freshest cuts, whether you're looking for beef, pork, chicken. The chicken there is amazing, by the way. People say, oh, chicken's chicken. No, it's not. Get the chicken at LB's. You'll see what I'm talking about. Handmade, homemade sausages every day, stuffed jalapenos, stuffed mushrooms, fresh fish, pretty much anything you could be looking for if you've ever been hungry or if you ever plan to eat is right there at LB's Meat Market. Just fantastic. You'll love it. Tell Greg that you heard about LB's here on the Soft Verbal. Maybe he'll throw a little something extra in your bag. We will be back. I'm not sure what next week holds because I'm going to be gone Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday because my daughter insisted on growing up. And
the nerve.
I know. And, I suggested a 13th grade, but she said, no, I want to go to college. So we're moving her into college next week, and I will be driving home from Fayetteville, probably a little red-eyed this day, a week from now. So think of me, even if you aren't all that fond of me these days, as people are attacking me. I did give Zach is going to be the person that vouches for this. Zach and I, before we started, I told Zach my exact stance on all of this stuff, and he used the word reasonable. So there. Anyway, thanks to our friends at collegecornerstore.com. It's the College Corner, 2 locations in Jackson. If you don't live in Jackson, go to collegecornerstore.com. I know a lot of you have. Really appreciate that. Go there and thank them for sponsoring the show because we've enjoyed doing it, and we appreciate them making it possible. So until next time.
Hey, Neal.
Yes, sir, Zach.
I will say a little cross-promotion here.
Okay.
You mentioned LB's and how great Greg and the folks are there. A little cross-promotion here. I will be talking with Greg later today over at Podcast Rebellion Red Cups podcast about grills, and he's going to give his thoughts on some reasonably priced grills. Not anything flashy, but my grill unfortunately bit the dust during the move, so I'm in the market for a new one, and Greg's going to talk about that. So if you're interested in getting a new grill or just want to hear Greg talk about smoking meat and grilling meat, then we'll do that. So there you go.
I will tell you that grills are a little of it depends on how often you grill.
Yeah.
Are you just grilling or do you smoke meat?
Yeah.
How versatile do you want your grill to be? How much do you like to take care of a grill? How much do you enjoy grilling? If grilling is just a utilitarian thing, or if it's something that you really enjoy, like controlling temperature and stuff like that. I sometimes cheaper is better, and sometimes you get what you pay for. And so I'll be interested in that. You should have invited me on. I have lots of opinions on on grilling. Anyway, we'll be back with another edition of the Soft Verbal Podcast next time. Thanks to everyone in the chat for being a part of the show. We really appreciate you joining us, making us a part of your week. Until next time, for Zach, I'm Neal. Take care.